can you imagine what happens when your marketing is so good that it actually attracts your ideal customers and you are charging premium prices? What would this do for your business and your life? Would it give you back more time in your days because you wouldn't have to be on social marketing all day? Would it give you more peace of mind that you'll earn enough money each month? Will it give you more joy to work with customers who respect your boundaries and your values? I mean, that right there is priceless. And if you actually have effective marketing, then you'll have more freedom, ease, and joy in your business. This is the Dog Sitter's House podcast. Welcome back to the Dog Sitter's House podcast, dog lovers. My first 3 episodes were about more of my story and really the inner workings of what it takes to design your dream dog sitting house. And, that topic, that subject is infinite as to how far we could explore that area, but I wanted to shift gears today. Today, I want to talk about the inner workings of your customers and how to approach your marketing so that you can easily attract your ideal customers with as little marketing effort as possible. You see, I see a lot of dog sitters promoting their services on social media or on their website. And I've noticed that the majority of dog sitters make a few mistakes, and one big one in particular. Now, of course, if you make these mistakes too, do not feel bad, okay? I have done it all. I have made them. It's not your fault. And chances are no one taught you how to do it, and you probably don't have a marketing degree either, right? I know I didn't. And in fact, a lot of dog sitters I talk to get into this business because they love dogs, not because they love marketing. So it makes sense. But in reality, any business that you run requires marketing. So, the good and the bad and the ugly, the bad news is, let's face it, you have no choice but to become a good marketer if you want a successful business. Now, that doesn't mean you have to run out and get a degree in marketing or go back to school, take classes, become an award-winning marketer, whatever, right? It just means shifting a few perspectives that can make your marketing efforts go from crickets to songbirds singing. I don't know. I remember when I first started promoting my services online, naturally, I made the same mistakes as everyone else because, what else are we going to do when we start a business? We, of course, look around at what everyone else is doing and try to copy what other businesses are doing. Maybe, some of their tactics, not exactly 100%, but we look to see what they're doing to get ahead or to how they operate, how they attract people, how they advertise. And, the thing we never think about is that behind the curtain, those businesses could be struggling too, right? Would you want to follow what they're doing if you knew that what they were doing wasn't working for them either? And chances are, I'm guessing you wouldn't. So let's dive a little deeper on this subject before we get into the specifics on the marketing, actually. I wanted to ask you, kind of think about it. Like, how many dog business owners do you know, or business owners in general, that have a business that allows them the freedom to recharge regularly, or the income to live comfortably, and the time to work on the vision of the business instead of in the business all the time? And they actually still love what they do. I can literally count on one hand how many business owners I know that do that. And what most business owners are always doing is stressing about earning their next dollar, performing every role in their business themselves because nobody can do it as good as they can, right? Come on, nobody can do our job better than we can, right? Nobody can run our business better than we can. And while that might be true, There's some things that we have to realize not everybody's going to do the same way as we do. And we get better at hiring those who are better at things than we are as well. But a lot of business owners will also, try to hire a team. And then next thing you know, they're micromanaging every team member instead. And all along the way, they're beating their heads up against the wall, trying to attract new customers consistently. So it can become such a cycle that it's hard to get out of. You're on the hamster wheel and you can't get off of it. That's why it's important to really, really slow down, think about things, get present, and listen to your customers. Think about your customers. Think about the things they've said to you, the things that you've heard over and over again. What you want to do is understand their needs better than they do themselves. Okay, that's the trick. Often, if you're just doing what everyone else is doing, you're not going to get farther faster. And you might just end up so burned out that you give up on your dreams or even running your own business. And we definitely don't want to do that, because that probably leads to finding a job, which stands for just over broke. So while it's good to keep an eye on what other businesses are doing, just keep in mind that unless you know whether their tactics are actually working, you want to be selective about what tactics you copy. Okay, a great example would be when I started my dog sitting business. I began on Rover and put up a profile, and I really had no clue what I was doing when it came to marketing my services or myself. And so I just do what most struggling dog sitters do, right? I looked at what everyone else was doing. I looked at the prices that everyone else was charging for what services, and then I decided to just charge just a little bit less. So that was my marketing method, right? Now, I did get a lot of business, don't get me wrong, but was it because of my marketing or because I was the discount dog sitter in town? I was the Walmart versus the Whole Foods, let's just say. And take a guess what results this led to for me. I mean, if you guessed, lots of headaches, difficult customers always bargaining for a deal, or late pickups, or early drop offs, then you got it right. But can you imagine what happens when your marketing is so good that it actually attracts your ideal customers and you are charging premium prices? What would this do for your business and your life? Would it give you back more time in your days because you wouldn't have to be on social marketing all day? Would it give you more peace of mind that you'll earn enough money each month? Will it give you more joy to work with customers who respect your boundaries and your values? I mean, that right there is priceless. And if you actually have effective marketing, then you'll have more freedom, ease, and joy in your business. A person is able to make sense of all this, I'm sure. Now, after you realize the more you improve your marketing, the more easily you'll attract quality customers, then you'll focus on becoming a better marketer. And what do you know? Look at that right here today. I'm talking about it on this podcast episode where you can learn what I believe. I do truly believe this, that this is the number one tip to more effective marketing right now, to start moving that needle right now and get the phone ringing. Okay, it sounds like a hyperbole, I understand, but all joking aside, let's just hop into it, okay? The number one mistake that most home-based dog sitters make when promoting their services is they sell their dog sitting services. I know. Sounds like I just fell off of my rocker, right? Like, duh, April, we're promoting our dog sitting services. Of course, we're going to sell that. And I know it sounds ridiculous, so stick with me. I promise there's a point to all this madness. But first, let me go into a hypothetical scenario with you to just kind of show my point first. It'll make more sense this way, I think. Now imagine you have a dog. You maybe do already. Hopefully you do. It's always good to have a dog, I say. This dog is your absolute everything, okay? I mean, hopefully it is because that's just, how I've grown up. All my dogs are my everything. Your dog comforts you, makes you smile, keeps you company, forces you to go on walks even if you don't feel like it. But it's good for you, so thank God for them. And they love you unconditionally. Now, this is your baby, right? This is your baby. You would do anything for your baby to ensure his or her safety and their happiness. Now, imagine you have to take a business trip and there's no way out of it. The only problem is that your bestie or your mom and dad or whoever normally watches your dog is also out of town on those dates. So you have no choice but to find a stranger to watch your dog. Oh my God, how nerve-wracking is that, right? Now, you don't prefer to have a stranger in your home, so hiring a dog sitter that comes to your home is not your preference, your first preference. And so you ask around, maybe you get a couple of numbers or referrals, or maybe you go on rover.com and you find a couple of potential dog sitters that watch dogs in their own home. And you pick a couple out. And let's say you make 2 meet and greet meetings, 2 meetings to meet 2 sitters. Now, you go to the first sitter. It's the day of the meet and greet. You walk in and you knock on the front door. They open the front door. You walk in, and the first thing you see is that there are about 4 dogs jumping up and down on a 2 foot tall-ish flimsy baby gate in a doorway that, if they bounce on it like one too many more times, it's going to collapse and they're all going to be running out the door. And so you're like trying to hurry up and get your dog in the door, like, come on, baby. But they're all barking and your dog's kind of going, oh, I don't know about this, Mom. What are we doing here? And so you get in the door, got through that. Okay, now all the dogs are, still barking at you like crazy. And you notice that you're a dog. Let's call your dog Fido, right? Fido's the standard name for the Jack and Jill for the no-name dog, Fido. Fido is beginning to hide behind you in fear, right? Naturally, because all of these dogs are barking at it and it's in a new territory that it doesn't know, and it's walking into these dogs' territory as far as they're concerned. So it is, probably a really dangerous situation from your dog's eyes, right? So you encourage your dog to walk around and sniff, but the sitter all of a sudden goes over and lifts the baby gate, and all of a sudden all 4 dogs come mad rushing your dog and you, and they're barking and they're running all around you and jumping up and down, and it's just total chaos. Okay, now at this point your dog is probably beginning to either snap or jump up on you like, get me out of here. Feeling pretty overwhelmed and trapped, right? So the dog sitter of course says, don't worry, they're all friendly dogs. Nobody bites. So you're like, yeah, okay. So you begin to walk to make space for your dog to try and escape the herd of dogs around you. And the sitter invites you into the backyard. Okay, great. Perfect. Let's go out into open space. Everybody can calm down, hopefully. So you walk through the house and you notice one overly dirty water bowl and lots of clutter as you walk through the house. And you kind of think to yourself like, I could totally see my Fido swallowing that and that and that. And that's not a good thing to swallow. But you get to the backyard and you see that it's all fenced in. So that's good. That's a good relief, right? Except the sitter has a few benches and chairs up against one of the fences, and it makes it look like, I don't know, if a dog was highly motivated to jump on the benches, they could easily get over that fence, right? So the sitter seems overall generally nice and like a true dog lover. She's probably even constantly talking to all the dogs, and they're loving on her and they're getting her attention and jumping on her. Maybe she even gets your dog to loosen up enough to come over and say hello and meet her. And everything seems, pretty okay. She mentions that she works from home. The dogs are rarely alone, so that's a bonus. Her prices are on the lower side and really affordable. So you decide that you're going to think about it, and you thank her for her time and you just, try to leave because it's a little crazy still. Your dog the whole time is still kind of like, what's going on? What are we doing here? Right. But it was okay enough. So you leave. And with the idea to think about it and then still meet the other sitter. So the next day, you have the second meet and greet. And before you even arrive, that sitter has messaged you with detailed instructions about arriving like within a 10-minute interval or something, unless you notify her otherwise. This is so that she tells you, okay, in the text message, she's like, this is so that all the dogs are inside, safely inside before you arrive, and they're not barking and scaring your dog upon arrival. Now that right there is like, okay, that feels better. So when you arrive, you enter through the backyard and there's like a gate and you go through this gate. And once you get in the gate, let's say there's another gate. Like say it's like, I don't know, maybe a 3 foot tall gate that's pretty secure looking. It has a latch and everything. So you realize, wow, like you just walked in, and until you can fully get access to the yard where all the dogs are going to have access to, you have to go through a whole nother gate. So there's an added layer of security there, and immediately a sense of comfort, of course, washes over you, right? How could it not? Now, as sitter number two invites you in, she also begins to ask you things like, does your food have, or does your dog have any food allergies? Or where does your dog like to sleep? Or how does your dog act when meeting new dogs typically? Okay, these are all really good questions. And then she proceeds to tell you about her process when walking dogs, mentioning how she uses a special belt to attach the dog leashes to so that she can't, accidentally drop a leash, or, the dog get super excited and pull too hard and get away or something. And again, a sense of peace falls over you because this is kind of showing you like, wow, my dog's really going to be in good hands, and she's really kind of figured out how to make sure she reduces any risks of her dog getting lost or loose or something. So after this, your dog, you've seen while you're talking to her, you've watched your dog happily and comfortably sniff all around the yard because there's no other dogs out there. So it's just like, woohoo, I'm exploring. And it seems like your Fido's pretty comfortable. So the dog sitter asks if you're ready to meet the other doggies inside that she's been watching, and you say yes. And she says, okay. She kind of gives you instructions like, just stay relaxed. Encourage your dog with positive reinforcement if another dog sniffs your dog or vice versa, things like that. Otherwise, she's like, I got it under control. Don't worry. Okay. So then she begins to let one dog out of her back door at a time, which you come to find out later how the heck she did that, because she has multiple dogs in there and you have no idea how she just got one out the back door. Right? She's like a magician or something. and and so this is nice because your dog has a chance to get really comfortable with each dog while meeting them as they come out. And she really waits and helps and makes sure that your dog seems comfortable before she lets the next dog out. And then she continues this process until all of the dogs inside have come out and met your dog, and everybody's, sniffed each other and they're off sniffing of other things, and they're just, chilling, having a good time. So then she invites you inside the house. And when you walk in, immediately you see she has a schedule on the wall, and it includes like each dog's arrival and departure time and their walk schedules, and maybe some notes about each one, about their allergies or something. And you also see, as you look around, there's a bunch of like 3 foot tall, sturdy looking baby gates blocking off different doorways and hallways. And she mentions to you as you look at them that she uses those to make sure the dogs are separated when they're eating, and that way there's no food aggression fights that break out. Or she separates them when she can't be in the house and she's outside and they're all acting excited because someone just arrived or something. So she continues to make sure they stay safe or don't stomp on one another and things like that. She works from home too. She said she's just she pretty much looks like she has it all figured out. The only caveat is her prices are much higher than most of the dog sitters you looked at. And so high, in fact, that it's probably going to be a little tight for your budget. But still, before you even walk out of the door, you suddenly find yourself asking her if she'll accept your Fido for the dates that you're out of town. We've all done that, right? And if you think about this now, think about both scenarios and tell me why you probably chose the second sitter in this scenario. And if you said it has something to do with trust or emotions, then you're right. Because here's a little tip in the marketing world: people do not buy based on logic, people buy based on emotions. And it's highly likely that you would trust the second dog sitter to keep your dog safe and happy while you're away, giving you the emotion, the feeling of comfort, peace, trust, assurance, all of those things compared to the first dog sitter, right? So, this brings me to the mistake most struggling dog sitters make when they're marketing. They simply sell their dog sitting services. Whereas if you sell the feeling that the customer desires to feel, then you're going to discover how quickly your customer base will grow, even with premium pricing. And if you want to know another little secret that I discovered by accident, essentially, early in my dog sitting days, I started having recurring nightmares of a customer's dog getting loose. I kid you not, it was like, I was having them 2 or 3 nights a week, and I'd wake up and it was the kind, that are so vivid and so real. You're like, "Oh my god, do I have all the dog count?" And your head counting everybody here. Make sure you have everybody, like that real, right? And I would imagine or dream that they'd escape the yard by jumping out of the gate, or like over the fence, or they'd like jump up and unlock the gate latch, because I'd seen one or two, one in particular do that a few times, and it was luckily I was able to catch her. Or like my dream would be of me dropping a leash accidentally on a walk, and they'd take off and I wouldn't be able to catch them. And, I don't know about you, but I am a true believer that our dreams are messages that we should definitely pay attention to. So I took immediate action, and I implemented systems and gates to ensure the safety of each dog who visits me. And I just got, creative, and just started trying to come up with ideas like, what can I do here to like make this extra secure? And what can I do here to eliminate risks, while walking dogs, and so on and so forth. And, there's some great products out there and great systems that I put in place that have really, really helped that. And luckily, I stopped having nightmares after that. So I think it was a good thing. And knock on wood, and I'm knocking on my head. Sometimes that helps. I am in my 6th year of business, and I've yet to lose a dog. Knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. Okay. Please don't punish me for saying that, universe. I'm not bragging. I swear. I'm just saying, when you have systems in place and you have double, triple security measures in place, it definitely reduces the risk of any dogs getting loose or hurt or harmed under your care, which of course would be devastating for everybody involved if that happened. So we always want to reduce that. Now, after a while, I started noticing that my old, even, but especially my newer customers coming for meet and greets tell me the same thing over and over again. They'd say it differently, but essentially they all kept telling me how grateful they were for me, because they could leave their dog with me without a care in the world, because they knew their dog was safe. And that they literally would never go on vacation before until they found me, because they never trusted anyone else but me. And that it's so wonderful they can enjoy their vacation 100%, because they know that their dog is quite likely having more of a wonderful time on their vacation than the owner is. Okay. So that's when it clicked for me. That's when I realized, you know what? I'm not merely selling my dog sitting services so much as I'm actually selling a feeling or feelings. You know, I'm selling a feeling of trust because if they don't trust me, they're not going to leave their most precious furry family member with me. Okay. Now it gets even better than this. Okay. Because I told you at the beginning of this podcast that I was going to give you the one most important feeling to sell, which is trust. But there's more. I have a bonus for you because this one actually goes even deeper, which is really kind of cool and fascinating if you ask me. So tell me, do people like to feel like they're doing what's best for their dogs? In fact, could people actually feel pride when they do something extra special for their dog? Could they feel pride if they knew their dog was quite possibly having a better vacation than they were? You betcha. And this one is so very powerful. And the reason being is it's a subconscious need. Pride, significance, feeling like a good dog parent. All of these are subconscious needs we naturally have. So when you fulfill this need with your marketing and during your meet and greets, you hit a sweet spot that most dog sitters won't hit. And then you'll find that your customers are going to be loyal customers to you for life. Not only that, but they're going to be raving about you to other dog owners, which basically 2x's the efforts of your marketing for you without lifting another finger. Okay. So my tip that I'm going to leave you with today is a little homework actually. I just truly believe unless we slow down and we take the time to do the work, that we're not going to make the progress that we could make otherwise. Okay, so find 15 minutes, schedule 15 minutes in your day over the next week to sit down during some peaceful times and maybe in nature or something. Get a pen and paper and literally brainstorm all of the feelings that your customers want to feel when leaving your dog with you. You know, think about if it was you and you were leaving your dog with a stranger. How do you want to feel? How have you felt before? If have you ever left your dog with a stranger or even a family member or a friend? I hate to say it, but it happens. I've done it. I left my dog with a friend, and the whole time I was worried about whether or not he was actually getting his walks because I wasn't quite sure that this friend was just responsible enough for that, but I didn't have a choice at the time. I thought that was my only choice, and I went with it. Turns out he told me that the guy I left my dog with, he told me that my dog pooped on the couch where he was sitting when he would sit on the couch. Which my dog, I'm telling y'all, he had stomach cancer before he died, and we had a doggy door, and he would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and run out that doggy door just to vomit. That's how much that dog did not have accidents in the house, okay? So for him to actually poop on the couch where my friend would be sitting tells me, yeah, he was not happy with you. And I will never leave my dog with you again. So think about all of those feelings and emotions that you might have if you've had that scenario happen with you, or you could imagine it, having your own fur baby and having to go through that. Because the truth is that you're just not in the dog sitting business. You're actually in the business of evoking feelings, since you're dealing with matters of the heart. Let's face it. So do that, sit down, write those things out, and then you're going to have these like magic feelings. And then you can take those magical feelings that you've come up with that you do or you don't want your customers to feel, and you want to infuse them into your marketing copy, right? So when you promote your services, say you're on a social app and someone you see that, you're in a group for dog sitting and you see that someone wants to have their dogs, they need a dog sitter, they post that they need a dog sitter, and there's like 50 people who are like, I can sit your dog, call me, DM me, I'll DM you, I just messaged you, I dog sit for such and such an hour, I dog sit in this area, and I do walks, da da da. You're going to see all that, right? But just think, if you actually say something to the effect of, I dog sit in my home and we have multiple measures in place for double, triple security so that your dog doesn't get loose, but also enjoys their vacation more than you do. That's going to evoke some feelings of like, this person has measures to keep my dog extra safe. Oh, this person, I'm going to be like dog mama of the year because my dog's going to have more fun than I do on vacation, right? So that person is likely to reach out to you before they reach out to anyone else on that string of comments. So that's about it. That's all I have for you today, my dog loving friends. Tell me what you think. If you have any feedback for me or if you have any extra questions, please follow me and DM me on IG at Design Your Dog Sitting House. Or you can go to TikTok where I didn't have as many characters to use. So that one is Design Your Dog Sitter House. So you got TikTok, Design Your Dog Sitter House versus Instagram at Design Your Dog Sitting House. Okay. So if you have any questions, just DM me there. I answer all my DMs. And I hope this helped you. I hope that you can approach your marketing differently now, whether it's on social media, your website, your Rover profile, or anywhere, a flyer in the vet's office, anywhere. Just keep it simple, because when you keep it simple, it's really a secret to the good life, So just stop selling your services, beyond the basics. Of course, you let them know you dog sit dogs, and really focus on evoking the feelings that your customer is needing to feel in order to feel comfortable when leaving their dogs, their precious little furry family members, with you. Alrighty, thank you so much, and until next time, happy tails to you.